All right, guys, it's about 7:05, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. We'll just go through a few slides, and then at the end, if you guys have any questions, I can go over that with you as well. Right now, I don't have your audio on, but at the end, I'll go ahead and put it on, and then if you have any questions for me, we can do it that way, or you can send it in the chat. All right? Hey, Julio. All right, so obviously, we're going to be going over Flipgrid today. So a few things. Um, First off, I want to start on why Flipgrid, why even use it. So the first thing I would say is that it's organized. You have all the videos in one place, and if you remember our PD, you kind of got to see how that was. And what's great is, sometimes we have kids do assignments where they make a video and then they upload it to their YouTube channel, and then they share that link from their YouTube channel with you on MyCCA. Well, this way, you have all the videos organized in one place for your class. You don't have to go through all that. Second thing I would say is students learn from each other. I mean, think about us as staff. I know for my own self, for all the years I've been teaching, I learn best from other educators. And I think you feel the same way. So, in the same way, your students are going to learn from each other. The next one would be that students benefit from hearing their peers' perspective, what their peers are thinking and what they have to say, and it might get them thinking about something. It prompts further discussions, hearing from their peers, and the teacher gets to hear from every student. Sometimes we don't have time for that. So you'll see in my next slide, we're going to talk a little bit more about ideas. This is a great way to use as exit tickets, just a quick exit ticket from your student. And the last one, why Flipgrid, is that it meets students where they're at. This is Generation Z. They're all about social media. And I found this interesting article here. Hopefully you hear me, Novia. Okay. But I found this interesting article, the differences between Generation Z and millennials. And I'm going to just scroll down to the last one. And it talks about Generation Z being more global. And I'm sure you can attest to this, seeing your students every day. I walk down the hallway and these kids have their faces in their phones 24/7. So this is interesting because, of course, we don't want them to be addicted, but this is just the reality of it. They are in their digital devices. So it says that they found in the study that Generation Zers are 25 more likelier than millennials to say they're addicted, and a full 40% of Generation Z say they self-identify as digital device addicts. So they're constantly in there. They grew up with all this technology, so for them, this is all they know. Okay, so we're meeting them where they're at. Generation Z, they like this technology, so they're going to like, being able to do things like a Flipgrid. So a lot of these ideas that I found on why Flipgrid, just so you know, I have a link here. This Holly Clark, and we're going to look at another one of her pages, but she has a great articles on here on why Flipgrid. Next slide. So how can I use it? So I put all these resources on here for you, and we're going to take a look at a couple of them. But you can use them for formative assessments as you're going through your lessons. And that goes anything from your language departments to math departments to English, all of them. Use it as an exit ticket, book reviews, reflections. In some of these articles up here on the top, they talk about using it as debate and explaining math problems. They can explain just if one concept you're going over, you can have them explain that one thing. So we'll just go through a couple of these. Some of my favorite ones. Well, this one, Pinterest one, is just a Pinterest board. And so if you click on that, I'll just show you a few things. They'll have a board that has links that you can go to for different ideas of what you can do for Flipgrid. One of my favorite ones is Matt Miller, and I follow him. I've read his book. I actually took a workshop from him last year, but he wrote a book called Ditch That Textbook. And he did an article here on 15 ways on how to use Flipgrid in your classroom. So I'm just going to scroll down through this top part here. and just show you a few of these. So I love this one because, I mean, you could do this in any class, whether it be a math class, a language class, English, on advice to next year's class. So if you have students that are successful in your class, okay, maybe have them do a Flipgrid at the end of the year. What was it that helped you be successful in that class? Give pointers to the next year's class. And then when you do your first day of class, going over your rules, all that kind of stuff, this would be something great to show the next year's class, getting advice. We're actually going to do something similar to this for ePortfolio. I'm going to set up a booth area for when they're done, that they can just do a quick little Flipgrid video to the seniors, the juniors that are going to be coming up next year as seniors, to just to let them know what the ePortfolio was like for them. How were they successful in it? Was it as bad as they thought? You know, those kind of things. So that's something you could do. You could debate about a topic, show what you know. It could be a math problem. You could give a prompt in English, let's say, for Spanish, and they can reply in Spanish. And that way you can check, like, are they pronouncing everything the correct way? Reflecting on a lesson or unit, book talks, exit tickets. You know, you don't have to always do it on a paper. So this is one great way to do it. So there's a bunch of other great ideas on here. If you would like to on your own time, you know, go through and read them. But this guy has amazing. His website altogether is great. So you might want to check him out. And then this is Holly Clark, who I said has some really great things on her site. So she did 17 ways to infuse. So I'm not going to sit and read through them all, but on the top part, she goes over a little bit about Flipgrid, and then she gives a lot of great ideas. What I did also like about this, and I thought about it because meeting those ISTE standards, for me, one of the hardest ones was how do you collaborate with other people that aren't in your school? Because I don't think we really do that too much. But you could use Flipgrid and you could actually do that with another school. And I'm thinking ahead, like to next year when we have the Calvary in Hollywood. I mean, who else will be better than to go ahead and collaborate with them? So we're getting kind of outside of our school into a different school there a little bit. If you know teachers at other schools, this is something you could do to collaborate. I know some people are afraid to do it, but I would be happy to come alongside you to help, you know, set this up. I actually even went on the ACSI site to see what other schools were, you know, ACSI that maybe we could collaborate. And there are so many on there, so many in our area that we could collaborate together. And Flipgrid would be a great vehicle to do that. So as you go through here, they go a lot by subject area and give you some ideas of some of the things you can do. You know your subject area best, but they do give some really great ideas here. Here's foreign language, here's math. So you definitely want to check out her site. That's hollyclark.org. And again, I'm going to share this with you guys, the presentation, and it will be recorded as well so that you can have these resources to go back and just kind of peruse on your own. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next slide. So now we'll get into Flipgrid a little bit. So basically, I'm just going to show you kind of how you go in and then explain to you a little bit how Flipgrid works, because I know it can be a little bit confusing. So when you first get to the Flipgrid site, you're just going to click here. It says sign up for free. You're going to sign in with your Google. Very simple. Just make sure you're under the educator one. So that's simple there. Simple step. When you get into Flipgrid, and I'm going to go into mine in a minute just to show you kind of how it's laid out, and I'll kind of set one up so you can see how it works. But basically, your Flipgrid is set up by grids. So you can actually make each class have a separate grid. So you could do block 7 and have their own grid. Block 8 have their own grid. And what's wonderful is about a year ago, actually maybe even less than that, Flipgrid, because they're trying to be competitive with Google, decided to make this service free. So in the past, you only had one grid. So imagine trying to fit 100 and something kids on one grid was kind of ridiculous. There were some teachers in our school that were actually doing that, but it made it very difficult. But they went ahead now and they made it free so you can make as many grids as you want. So you can have a grid for each one of your classes, and that'll help you keep things better organized. And then once you have a grid set up for a class, then you can go ahead and make your topic. So if you see in the picture below, and I'm going to go to mine in a minute, I had this grid that I made just for PD, and you see I made a topic, and my topic was the Save Fred reflection. So now if I wanted to do another one, I would just create a new topic, and I'd keep doing them underneath that. So let me just go to my Flipgrid, and I'll kind of show you what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. And this is too where your students would enter, like if they were going to do one with you, they would enter their Flipgrid code right there in the middle. And you guys walked through that during PD, so you probably kind of remember how we got on there. So I'm going to do my educator login. Here we go. All right. So you see I have 2 grids, and actually me going in here and doing Flipgrid, it helped me learn more about it, because when I set this up, I actually made 2 separate grids, and I wish I had made just one. I should have made one grid that said block 3, and then I could have created underneath it. So let's just say I teach a block 3. So I'm going to create a grid for my block 3, and I'm going to select a grid community type. I just do the PLCs and public grid because it just makes it easier. I've had some pick the email domain one, and then the students were not able to get into it. It made it very difficult. So I would just go ahead and do the public grid, because you can set it up where they have to have a password to get into it. And so it'll be safe. So name your grid. This is my block 3. Okay, and then now all my underneath here, all the questions or things that I want to put out to them will be under just this block 3. So this will be the flip code for block 3. You can change your pictures, put whatever you want for it. So let's just do this one. Next, and I'm going to launch my grid. All right, this will be the Flipgrid code for that grid. Okay, so now I have my grid here, and this will always be for my block 3, and now I can keep adding topic after topic after topic. So let's say on a Monday, I want to make an exit ticket, for, lesson 1, let's just say. And then here, you can give them tips up to 64 characters on how you want them to respond on that. Here you could put your video response time. So you can they can go up to 5 minutes in their response to you. You get the display date here, and then you could do a longer description here. You can put a link in here. Let's say you wanted them to watch a video on something. Let's say for language, a world language, they could watch a video clip on something, and then you want them to respond with a video. This is where you can put your clip here that you want them to watch in order to respond to. So I'm just going to just say this is a test. All right, so that's where you would put your details of what you want them to do. And then you would go ahead and make it active. So there's all kinds of other stuff under here. See, you can record a video, upload video. There's all kinds of other things that you can do here as well. Here's some topic attachments that you want. There's tons of things that you can actually add on to there. You see that it is public if you do add some things on here, but remember, they would have to have the exact web address, and if you make a passcode, they would have to have that as well in order to even get in here. So I'm going to go ahead and create my topic. Okay, so your topic is ready now for the kids' responses. This would be your flip code that they would go ahead and put in to get to that. Here's the address for them to get to that. Got it. Okay, and this is where you can add resources. Up here, again, you have your flip code, and obviously this one has no responses. So I just wanted to show you a couple of my other grids. So I want you to see how I'm able to go back. All right, so now you see, now I have a block 3, and this was from my PD, which again, I said I wish I had created these under one. So again, you can make each one of these grids. You can make a block 3, a block 4, a block 5 for each of those classes. Okay, so my block 3, there's my exit ticket. Now let's say the next day I wanted to do another one. Then you just add another topic. You can just keep adding them underneath. And there, as far as I know, I've not seen, there's no limit on how many topics you can add to the grid for that class. So I just wanted to go back. I'm going to show you. So here were my paper slide ones. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And this lets me view the videos separately. And I'll show you kind of what it'll look like. So this is if they were all separate. And what I did is some of the ones that were the best, I actually put a little star next to those because I wanted Catherine to see those when she came back. So I just starred them. And then let me go back. And then if I click here, you notice when I go on it, it says view as a student. So then if I click on that, that is going to, and of course, I don't remember what the password was, but there was a password that I made for this to go in there, but it would let me view. Let me see if I had the password on the other one. I think I did. Just don't remember what I put. Yeah, I don't remember my password, but it would display all the videos for me if I went in that way. Let me just go back here. Paper slide videos. Again, this is showing me as a teacher. If I wanted to see it as a student, I would have to put in the password, which I don't remember offhand right now. And then all you had to do is, if you wanted to see the individual slide videos that people did, you would just click on it. So I'm just going to click on one and I'll show you. And it just lets me see.
Welcome to the Standard Fair, featuring 40.
How creative the teachers were.
Rogers. Number 1, what do standards 1 through 4 have in common? Well, they are student-centric. You must be no taller than this to enter students only. Number 2, benefits of implementing ISTE standards. Learning becomes more fun when students take ownership. Let's win that giant bear. Number 3, challenges of implementing standards. Well, when technology fails, you need a backup plan. This ride's out of order. I better have a backup plan or another ride to ride. And number 4, how can we implement one standard tomorrow? Well, let's let students have a say in assessment forum. Aim for that target.
So you can see, I mean, you get to really see the creativity. I mean, I walked around when people were doing these videos and I had no idea some of the creative ideas that they were coming up with. And what's great here is that you can grade, you could do some feedback, comments to them as well. And you can actually email as well here. But I thought it was a great idea that you could do some feedback here, and you can also reply. This also comes in handy because students, if you want them collaborating together, can actually leave a reply on each other's Flipgrid. So you might, have use for that in your classroom. That's kind of a cool feature as well. So that's pretty much how you set them up, how they work. And I'm sorry I couldn't get in. I wanted to show you some of the other ones, but I wasn't able to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it open now to see if anybody has any questions or comments. If you use this in your room, maybe, and you want to share ideas with other people. Any questions, or you can just go ahead and put it in the chat if you have any questions or comments, and I can share that. Any questions or comments? I also want to say, too, that if you have other topics that you want Catherine or I to cover, that maybe you're not able to come to Lunch and Learn because you our tutoring, or that's when you have your help classes. I mean, we understand you guys are busy at lunch. We're busy at lunch. Drop us an email and say, hey, we'd love to, have a virtual PD like this. Either myself or Catherine can lead it. And if you have ideas of things that you would like to see or like for us to share more about, or you have questions on things that you think that we can help you with that you just don't have time with during the day, you can drop us a note. And we're looking at doing probably some more of these virtual PDs. This is my first one. So I'm sure you saw me playing with the controls at the bottom and stuff here because I'm still learning. This is my first time trying this. For me, going through this ISTE process and becoming certified, which I'm almost done. I just turned in my coursework that I'd been working on. Part of it was virtually doing workshops like this. And so this was like really out of my comfort zone because I had never done it before. I had no idea how to start. I actually just found the website from another teacher that had done it in elementary. And then I just went on and kind of tried to figure it out on my own. And I told Catherine I might totally fail at this tonight. I wasn't sure how it was going to go. But I'm assuming everybody could hear my voice. And you were able to see the slide presentation. But other than that, if nobody has questions, I don't see anything in the chat. But I'll give you about a minute or two more. And then if you guys don't have any further questions, we did start at about 5 to 7. So, I mean, we're getting pretty close to being to that over 30 minutes. So everybody would get their 1 credit CEU. And I've already spoken to Julianne. And so what I'll do is I would just let her know what the workshop was and who was here. And I'll put your names in for you guys to get your CEU. And if you have any other feedback, like things you would have liked to have seen better on this, or things that, maybe you didn't hear certain things, or you thought things could have been better, you share that with me. If you don't want to share it on here in the chat, you can come tell me. I'll take any feedback, because anything I could do to make things better. That's my, main goal, is just to make things better. And I'm here for you guys. I'm just doing what I'm doing for you guys. All right. And if there's no other, nothing else in the chat, I don't think so. I don't know why I keep trying to get this chat open and it doesn't want to open.
Holly?
I don't know. I'm trying to get that chat open and I can't get it open.
Holly?
Oh, goodness.
Holly?
Yes, you can hear me?
I can hear you.
What's up?
I've asked a couple questions, but apparently you can't see them. I guess one of the questions I had was, can their responses or videos be shared with the entire class? I think you did something similar. Well, you showed us on your grid itself, but like, can I send out individual responses to the whole class? Or I'd have to put it up on my screen.
I'm going to look. I'm going to open mine and we'll see. Let me look. Really? I'm sorry about that, you guys.
It's okay. The other question I had too was, can you copy someone else's grid ideas or grid questions?
I think you can copy them over. Let me just get into my, why can't I get into it? I'm trying to get into it here. I just want to pull up the share one to see if we can share that. There it goes. So let's see. So let's say I'm in here and I want to share. So here you can share with the class. But I wonder if you have to have your class like set up in here. Here, you can copy and paste this. You see that?
Yes.
It gives you a code that you copy and then you share with the class. Is that what you're trying to do? Or you just want to share one, you mean?
Share one.
Let's see if we can go into one.
Let's say there was someone that did something and it was like really off the charts.
Right.
You just pick one and just display
All right,
that.
so here is Sharon's. Hers was off the chart, so I could do share. So it looks like you can copy and paste. So if you want to do this right here, you could copy and paste this or have the QR code, and you can share it on your MyCCA.
Okay. Okay.
You could do that with the students. And that was just like once you're looking as a teacher at the individual grids, you just would click the share. And that's how you get the code.
Okay.
Yeah. That looks like it's the only way you can do that.
Anyway. All right. I
Mhm.
have one more question.
Sure.
When we had it set up, you had us work in groups and we did it individually. Is there any way it could be done for the, I don't think so. I'm asking the question, but I think I'm answering it at the same time, in the sense that, you know, when you have like a collaboration board and all the students are answering at the same time or putting their videos, I guess that wouldn't work. It's okay. I'm sorry. Forget that
You
question.
answered your own question.
I did.
Sometimes you got to think out loud, right?
Yes.
Oh, goodness. So how
Okay.
did you guys like doing PD like this?
I liked it. I mean,
Right?
what I
Something
love to
different,
do,
right?
yeah, I enjoyed it. I think I was trying to set up a screen to do it the same time you were doing it. I probably needed to have a different computer while
Right.
I'm watching what you're doing. But I mean, I took my notes as you're going ahead, so I liked it.
Yeah. It's something different. I had never done it before. So, I mean, just like you guys are learning ISTE, we're learning ISTE. And so this was part of like my learning process, being able to do a PD like this. And I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll look at probably doing some more. And if you ever come across stuff that you want to hear more about, that you would like Catherine or I to do a PD like this, we're looking at doing some more down the road.
Okay. Julio had asked if it was totally free, and I believe you said it was.
It is free.
Okay.
Mhm.
'Cause
Yeah,
I
it used to be you could only make one grid, and then the teacher was trying to put like 100 kids on one grid, which is crazy.
Right.
Now
Okay.
they have it, you can make a grid for every single one of your classes, and then you can put as many topics as you want under that class. So every class would have their own grid now,
Gotcha.
which is really nice.
Okay.
And it's all free. Yep.
All right.
Any other questions? No?
No, ma'am.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to put your name into Julianne, and thank you for joining me. And hopefully everybody learned a little something, right?
Yes.
All right. Thank
Fun
you.
part.
All right, guys. Have a good night. See you mañana.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.